What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Grady, and I listen to country music and whatever else I want to. And today, I don't know if I'm listening to country music or whatever else I want to, but I do know I want to listen to it. And I'm listening to a song called Girl by Maren Morris. Maren Morris is one of the very few breakout female artists of the last few years in country music. She hit the scene with this song called My Church, which became a big hit, and deservedly so, about reveling to the sounds of great country music while driving through the car as a way to kind of clear your mind.
Can I get a hallelujah?
And it really cottoned a lot of kind of traditional fans that wanted this organic sounding, rich music and appreciation of country music to Maren Morris. But at the same time, she's always demonstrated a real affinity for the pop scene. Songs like 80s Mercedes and Rich, which followed My Church, were extremely pop influenced. And then nowhere was that more true than when she collaborated with Zedd for their smash hit The Middle, which was a massive pop hit.
Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
So as Maren Morris approaches her second album, I think the question has been, which lane is she going to choose? Is it going to be the more country-ish, bluesier, sort of rich, organic My Church side, or is it going to be the more glossy, candy-coated pop side? Because clearly she has an affinity for both, and she really can sing and she can pull it off either way, but I don't know what to expect really from her second single. Obviously the sophomore single, the launch of a sophomore album has got to be a threatening thing for an artist. There's a reason people talk about the sophomore slump, because you want to push the narrative forward but you don't want to offend the people that liked you to begin with. So that leaves us with the song Girl, which has an intriguing title. There's been no small amount of conversation in the last year about all of these dudes releasing songs with woman in the title or female if you're Keith Urban, and the way that there's no songs by women on the radio, but there's a lot of guys singing about girls and women in the titles of the songs. And so this feels a little bit, just on the surface, not having heard the song, like it might be a statement to call a song Girl as a female artist, but we'll see kind of what the song is. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Feel myself right now. It's your feelings natural. Girl, lose your halo. Go round. Won't you stop me up? Girl, don't hang your head low. Don't
So that was Girl by Maren Morris. It was written by Maren Morris herself, Sarah Aarons, who was a co-writer on The Middle, Greg Kurstin, who is a co-writer of Adele's Hello, and that song's really weird. I mean, it's really not what I would have expected as a lead single. It's in keeping with the sound, I would say, of Maren Morris's first album, Hero. It reminds me a lot of How It's Done from that album. It's got that same kind of bluesy pop vibe. I definitely wouldn't say this is a country song. I think the debate about the sound of country music is really important. Obviously, I've made a bunch of videos about that. If you really want to get my clearest take, I would go to a video called Is Body Like a Back Road? Should it be considered country music? And should it matter? I lay out pretty clearly why I think the genre debate does matter, but also that I don't know what to do with it. And similarly, I just want to say that up front. I'm not going to talk much about, like, is this country, is it not? Because I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do in that debate is. But this definitely is leaning, just sound-wise, way on the poppier side of the spectrum. But that said, it's not using a bunch of, like, crappy snap tracks and haze, and it sounds much more just kind of like a blues pop record. But the instrumentation's organic, the production sound is pretty nice, and I think it is pretty suited to that kind of reedy tone that Maren Morris's voice does have. This song is about, I think, Maren Morris trying to process her spot in Nashville and having suddenly exploded into fame and being one of the very few, like I said, females that has been lifted up by country music in the last few years. And you can tell that she's feeling all kinds of ways at some points about her new status. This reminds me a lot of both Cry Pretty by Carrie Underwood and In My Blood by Shawn Mendes, and even Delicate by Taylor Swift. Just this kind of crippling anxiety about her place in the world. And she says, "This is unflattering. I'm all up in my head again, and I don't feel myself right now. I should just lay down." And my favorite lyric in the song actually comes right after that, where she says, "If vanity's my vitamin, I don't feel a difference." And so, and I don't like myself right now. So maybe at some point she was trying to just embrace all of the attention she was getting and ride that wave, and it made her not like herself. And so the song is really all up in her head, and she's trying to process, and it's a looking in the mirror, cheering yourself up, saying, "Girl, won't you stop crying? I know that you're trying and everything's going to be okay." It's a pep talk to herself. And I think that's actually a pretty cool concept for a song. I don't think the hook is very memorable to me. The whole "girl, won't you stop your crying." I can remember it now because I just heard the song, but it didn't hit me in the way that you almost want pop music to, that sort of sugar rush vibe of like, this is so fun to sing along to. It's pretty even toned, and I think after the first verse, I'm left wanting a little bit more from the lyrics, than just kind of what you feel is natural, draw your comparison, who's lesser than. I think I want a few more specifics to get to the angst of what she's feeling. But I think the song's interesting. To me, it's more interesting as kind of a cultural commentary of where she is in her career and in her process of becoming a huge star than it even is as a song itself. As a song itself, I don't think it's that memorable, and I think it's not the most exciting sound, and I think the sentiment is nice, but like I said, it doesn't stick in my head. But the idea that she says, "I don't want to wear your crown. There's enough to go around." That one stood out to me because that to me felt like maybe that's the thesis statement of this song is she's getting lifted up by, maybe the pop crowd, and the people are like, "I love that you're touring with a member of One Direction. You can be the future of country music and push us into pop." And she's getting held up as kind of the only, like, one of the future of females in country music. So you need to make something country. And she's just like, "I don't want either of those paths. I can do my own thing. I can be my own person." And that, I think, is a really cool message. It's subtle, but I wonder if in her career, if this song isn't a big smash hit, if it will be sort of a just kind of important defining statement for her to make, which is, I'm not playing ball with any of the expectations of me. I'm doing my own thing, and that's why I'm talking to myself and saying, "Girl, pick yourself up off the floor." She's like, "I'm the one controlling my destiny." And that I can respect a lot. So overall, I don't know. I don't think it is. I'm a little underwhelmed by the sound of it, but I think the idea of it and maybe what it's subtly saying, even in calling itself "girl," kind of a tacit admission that this is kind of about being one of the only girls that gets airplay. And I didn't even ask for that to be my microphone, but just by virtue of that being the status of my career, that's the microphone I've been given. It kind of feels like it's zigging when everyone wants her to zag or something like that. So maybe it's not meant to be. I don't know. Maybe it's not meant to be a hit. Maybe it is just her process. I don't know. Let's go ahead and use my same rubric that I did for Single Smackdown, where you can get 10 points for lyrics, 10 points for sound, and 5 points for kind of X factor around the song. I would give this lyrically a 6. I would give this sound-wise, because I think her voice does sound really good on it, and I actually like the delivery of the bridge the most of anything on the song, and it really shows off her voice. But while I like the sound of her delivery, I don't love the overall production of the song. The sound feels a little full for this kind of angsty crying on the floor moment. I think it needs more dynamics in terms of just the volume of it and the amount of bells and whistles that are in there. So production wise, I'll also give it, or sound wise, I'll give it a 6. And then X Factor, I think I'd give this a 4 out of 5. Because I think actually what's most interesting about it is kind of the commentary it might be making, just the fact that it's existing, the fact that it is a big lead single, sophomore single from kind of this gal that everyone is putting a lot of expectations on. And I think it's kind of self-aware in that sense and responding to it. So total, that would give the song 16 out of 25. That makes it, I think, a fairly middling track for me. And I think it wouldn't sound offensive on country radio, but I don't think it's that country. But like I said, I'm not going to get into that argument in this video, although I think it is not a bad argument to be having. So that's my take on Girl by Maren Morris. I'd love to know what you think of the song, and let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to get to a lot of other stuff. I'm filming some other reviews right now, so just sit tight, be patient. I know Cody Johnson is out. I'm going to review him. And yeah, later, guys.